Have you ever found yourself aching for someone who never even checked to see if you were okay? It's one of the deepest forms of suffering, when your heart is screaming in a language the other person never intended to learn. You give, you wait, you hurt, and all the while, they go on living as if you never existed. That kind of pain doesn't just bruise the heart, it makes you question your own worth. So before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. Because today we're walking into the fire of one of life's hardest lessons, and we're going to come out freer. There is a specific kind of loneliness that exists only in the presence of someone who doesn't truly care. It's not the emptiness of being alone. It's the hollow ache of being emotionally abandoned while still emotionally attached. It's loving someone who only ever gave you fragments. And yet, you stayed for the fragments, because you convinced yourself that crumbs were better than nothing. This is where most people get lost. Not in the absence of love, but in the illusion that it might still show up. You start replaying conversations, searching for a sign that maybe, just maybe, they cared. You hold on to vague words, half-hearted gestures, and the way their eyes looked once at sunset. You collect memories like proof in a trial that you never get to win. And while you do that, they've already moved on, emotionally, mentally, spiritually. Buddhism has a word for this type of suffering, tanha, the thirst, the craving. It's not just about physical longing, it's about that burning desire for something that isn't real, or more precisely, something that isn't yours to control. And here's the most painful truth. The person you're suffering over may have never truly seen you. Not your soul, not your heart, not your essence. And yet your mind keeps handing them a script they never asked to read. You assign them a role in your life, a hero, a soulmate, a savior. But what if they were never meant to stay? What if their only role was to reveal where you still abandon yourself? Because when someone doesn't care about you, it doesn't always come with dramatic betrayal or cruelty. Sometimes it's in the silence, in the unanswered messages, in the way they only come around when it benefits them, in the way you always feel like you're reaching, never receiving. This is not love. This is emotional starvation masquerading as hope. And yet we suffer because we keep watering dead flowers. We romanticize potential. We believe that if we just try harder, love harder, prove ourselves more, they'll finally see us. But the truth is, you don't heal by proving your worth to people who are blind to it. You heal by seeing your own value and walking away from anything that doesn't honor it. This is where the real work begins, not with them, with you, with the part of you that equates love with sacrifice, with the part that confuses rejection with destiny, with the child in you that still believes love has to be earned through pain. You must ask yourself, not why didn't they love me, but why did I keep loving them after they showed me they couldn't? That shift changes everything. Because suffering in the Buddhist view is never just about what happens. It's about how we cling to what happens, how we resist what's already true. Pain is part of life. But prolonged suffering, especially over someone who's already emotionally checked out, is a kind of self-imprisonment. So if you find yourself in that place today, in the ache of unreciprocated love, in the confusion of being ignored by someone you once prioritized, let this be the moment you stop chasing answers that only lead to deeper hurt. You don't need closure from them. You need compassion for yourself. The person who doesn't care about you isn't your problem. The part of you that still waits for them is. And that, my friend, is where your liberation begins. There is a saying in the Dhammapada, from craving arises sorrow, from craving arises fear. For one who is free from craving, there is no sorrow, so why fear? This is not just a philosophical quote, it is the diagnosis of your heartbreak. Because what if your suffering right now is not about that person at all? What if it's about the story your mind wrote about them? About the identity you built around being loved by them? About the imagined future you were trying to drag into the present? Buddhism teaches us that pain arises not from the world itself, but from how we relate to it. Not from what is, but from how tightly we hold on to what should have been. Let's unpack that. You're hurt not just because someone didn't care. You're hurt because you expected them to care. You believed that your goodness, your love, your patience should have been enough. You made their emotional absence mean something about your worth. That is attachment in its most subtle form. An attachment is a kind of hallucination. It blinds us to reality. It makes us think we are in love when really we are in fear. We are afraid of loss, afraid of being alone, afraid that if this person doesn't love us, maybe no one ever will. But ask yourself, is that actually true? Or is that just your inner wounded child speaking, begging for someone to prove they won't leave? The Buddha called this clinging upadana, the grasping at identity, relationships, desires, and it always leads to dukkha, suffering. Why? Because everything you cling to is impermanent. The love you try to force, the person you try to fix, the outcome you try to control, all of it slipping like sand through your fingers. The irony? The tighter you hold on, the more it hurts when it inevitably dissolves. So what's the path out? Detachment. But let's be clear, detachment is not numbness. It's not about pretending you don't feel anything. It's about feeling everything, and still choosing not to make it your prison. It's about allowing emotions to rise and fall like waves, without building your entire life around one crashing tide. Detachment means you stop tying your value to their affection. It means you stop mistaking presence for love and silence for punishment. It means you see them clearly, not as who you wish they were, but as who they actually are. And when you see clearly, you no longer suffer out of confusion. You begin to suffer less. You begin to release. Meditation helps here, not just seated practice, but everyday mindfulness. Notice the thoughts that pull you back into fantasy. Maybe they'll change. Maybe I was wrong. Maybe if I just and gently let them go. Each time you do, you break one more thread of the karmic rope that's been binding you to unnecessary pain. It is slow, it is subtle, but it is sacred. Because every time you choose clarity over clinging, reality over illusion, and presence over projection, you are walking the path the Buddha taught. And here's a final paradox. The more you detach, the more you reclaim your heart. Not to give it to someone else, but to finally come home to yourself. Let me ask you something quietly, like a friend sitting across from you in the late-night silence. Have you ever loved someone so much it felt like they were stitched into your soul? Like out of all the 8 billion souls on this planet, this one, this unreachable, mysterious, infuriating one, was meant for you. That is not love, that is projection. And it is the most dangerous illusion your mind knows how to cast. In Buddhist psychology, this illusion is called Maya, a dreamlike distortion of reality born from craving and ignorance. It happens when your subconscious needs find a human canvas to paint on. You don't fall in love with them, you fall in love with your idea of them. And the idea is always more beautiful than the reality. Maybe they were emotionally unavailable, but you called it deep and complex. Maybe they were inconsistent, but you said they're just scared of love. Maybe they hurt you, but you told yourself, they didn't mean to. I can help them heal. The truth? You weren't loving them. You were trying to love yourself through them. You saw in them the parts of you that still longed to be seen. The approval you never got from a parent. The emotional attunement your past partners denied you. The reflection of who you hoped you were. Worthy of care, worthy of effort, worthy of being chosen. They became a mirror. But mirrors can be misleading when covered with fog. Buddhism invites us to clean that mirror, not so we can hate what we see, but so we can finally see. No stories, no fantasies, just this person, who perhaps was never capable of giving you what you craved. And that realization isn't cruel, it's freeing. Because the moment you let go of the story of the one, you free yourself from the prison of what could have been. You stop replaying old messages, looking for hidden meaning. You stop revisiting conversations like forensic evidence of lost love. You stop thinking the past was a mistake that needs closure. And instead, you return to the present, the only place healing actually happens. The Buddha once taught that clinging is like grasping a hot coal with the intent of throwing it at someone else. You're the one who gets burned. So stop grasping. Stop trying to extract love from someone who doesn't even have enough for themselves. Stop making their absence mean you are unworthy. You're not. In fact, the very intensity of your attachment reveals something sacred. You are capable of deep love. You just haven't yet learned to direct it inward. So here's the shift. Instead of asking, why weren't they the one? Ask, why did I need them to be? That question will crack open a hidden chamber in your heart, the place where the real healing begins. Because once you stop idolizing their presence and start investigating your own need, you'll find something unexpected. You don't miss them. You miss the feeling you thought they gave you. And that feeling, belonging, joy, safety, worth, you can learn to give that to yourself, slowly, tenderly, mindfully. And when you do, you'll laugh at how small they were in the vastness of your becoming. Because you'll see, they were never your savior. They were your signal, your invitation to wake up, to come back, to come home. There is a kind of love that doesn't ask for anything in return. It doesn't cling. It doesn't beg. It doesn't measure its worth by how the other person reacts. This kind of love doesn't live in the realm of ego. It lives in the heart of awakened being. It is the love the Buddha pointed to when he spoke of metta, loving kindness that is boundless, unconditional, and most importantly, detached from outcome. But we don't start there. No, we start with craving. We love so we can feel loved. We give so we can be received. We say, I miss you, and wait desperately for the echo. I miss you too. And when it doesn't come, we collapse. But here's the paradox. Real love begins where expectation ends. Let me tell you a truth that changed my life. You can love someone with your whole being and still let them go. You can care for someone deeply and not need them to care back. You can send love silently from across oceans or across lifetimes, and that love still matters. Because the purpose of love is not possession. It is expression. It is alignment with your highest self. Imagine if a candle refused to shine unless someone promised to admire it. It would never fulfill its purpose. The candle shines because that's its nature, and so too must you. The pain you feel when someone doesn't return your love is not from loving them. It's from loving them with a hidden contract. One that says, if I love you enough, you'll finally see me. Or if I give you my all, you'll choose me over your fears. But unconditional love burns that contract. It says, I love you, not to change you, not to get something back, but because this love wants to move through me. Because it's who I am when I am most free. This is not weakness. It's not submission. It's spiritual sovereignty. Because when you no longer need someone to validate your love, you are untouchable. You're no longer bargaining with your soul. You're no longer performing worthiness in the hope of being chosen. You are simply loving with clarity, presence, and dignity. And yes, it still hurts when people don't see you. It still aches when someone you cherished walks away. But the difference is this: you don't collapse anymore. You don't become small to be wanted. You don't turn cold to protect yourself. You don't chase, you sit in your truth. You honor your heart, and you let them go with grace. Because you know now, love is not something you get, it's something you give. And giving it purely, freely, is already the reward. This is what the Buddha meant when he said that attachment is the root of suffering. It's not love that hurts. It's the grasping. It's the narrative we wrap around love that says, if they don't return it, it was wasted. But no love is ever wasted. Because when you love with awareness, you're not losing energy. You're creating merit. You're strengthening your spirit. You're living in alignment. So the next time you feel the sting of being unloved, ask yourself, can I love them anyway without shrinking myself? Can I bless their journey even if it doesn't include me? Can I be the kind of love that no longer needs permission to exist? And if the answer is yes just once, then you've already won. Not because they came back, not because they apologized, but because you became the version of you that no longer suffers over who doesn't see your worth. And that is freedom. There comes a moment, quiet, almost invisible, when something inside you stops waiting. Not because you've become cold, not because you've stopped caring, but because you've finally realized this love is not meant to be completed by them. You've carried the weight of unreciprocated love far longer than your heart was meant to. And though you've tried to stay, through silence, through tears, through hope, there is a deeper wisdom now rising from within. It is the voice that says, you don't have to hurt here anymore. Many people think healing begins with forgetting, but true healing begins with remembering. Remembering who you were before you tried to become lovable in their eyes. Remembering what peace feels like when you're not trying to earn it from someone who refuses to offer it. remembering that the soul you tried to reach was never yours to fix. Because not every person who enters your life comes with the capacity to love you. Some only come with lessons. Some only come to show you your limits. Some come to reflect back the parts of yourself that still thought pain was a form of connection. But you're done now. Done mistaking longing for intimacy. Done overgiving in the hope they'll finally notice. Done betraying your own spirit for the sake of someone else's comfort. And so it is time. Not for revenge, not for bitterness, but for the sacred goodbye. The goodbye that doesn't slam the door, but closes it gently. The goodbye that doesn't spit fire, but offers a silent bow to the role they played in your awakening. The goodbye that says, thank you and no more. Because when you walk away from someone who doesn't see you, you walk towards yourself. You reclaim your energy, you rebuild your presence, you remember how whole you've always been, and slowly the ache becomes air. The silence becomes sanctuary. The absence becomes clarity. You no longer ask why they couldn't love you. You ask why you kept trying to prove you deserved it. You no longer chase closure from their lips. You find it in your own steady breath, in the mirror, in the rising sun that reminds you, you're still here, and you're still worthy. This is not the end of your love story. This is the chapter where you stop bleeding for someone who never brought a bandage. This is the chapter where you start writing a new definition of love. One that begins with dignity, grows with presence, and ends only in liberation. So if you must leave, leave like a temple collapsing into light. Leave like a soul returning to itself. Leave with tears if you must, but never with regret, because you stayed as long as your spirit could bear. And now, it's time to come home. To the self that no longer needs to beg to be loved. To the heart that now understands, being seen is not a reward you earn. It's a birthright you protect. And if someone cannot meet you there, then love them from afar and let them go. So as we close today's journey, let this be your mantra. I release the ones who couldn't love me, not because I am unworthy, but because I am finally ready to be loved in full. You are not behind. You are not broken. You are becoming. And in that becoming, you will meet people who see you, not as a project or a convenience, but as a sacred presence. Until then, hold yourself like the precious thing you are, and walk away, not with bitterness, but with breath. Because the most powerful goodbyes are the ones whispered in peace.